Welcome to this webinar where we'll explore the professional learning programs available to support successful piloting and adoption of BSCS Biology, Understanding for Life. I'm Cindy Gay, a senior science educator at BSCS Science Learning. I was the co-lead for the development and field test of this curriculum and am the lead for the professional learning programs we'll explore today. In this webinar, we'll mark some of the key features that make BSCS Biology such a unique and powerful curriculum. We'll examine the role of professional learning in successful piloting and implementation, and explore the professional learning programs that we offer for BSCS Biology. We'll have a dedicated time for questions at the end of the webinar. As you have questions or comments throughout the webinar, though, please capture them in the chat so we're sure to address them at the end. So let's begin with a brief examination of the key features that underlie BSCS Biology. The framework for K-12 science education ushered in a new and exciting change for science education. This quote describes what BSCS and all of us as a science education community are aiming for student learning and for scientific literacy more broadly. It emphasizes the three-dimensional nature of science learning, how science permeates our lives outside the classroom walls, and that learning science should be lifelong and for everyone. The framework and the NGSS standards that followed were our call to action. While BSCS has always had a flagship biology program, we realized we needed to start from the ground up to develop a curriculum that would attain the vision of the framework and the NGSS. So we worked with a team of 22 writers and over 30 consultants to develop a curriculum that was designed for, rather than just aligned to, the NGSS. The NGSS standards are identified at the unit, the chapter, and the lesson levels across the course. Throughout each of the 4 units, students engage in science and engineering practices and leverage cross-cutting concepts, as well as literacy and sense-making strategies to figure out important science ideas of the DCIs. BSCS Biology is the first and currently the only high school science program to receive an all-green rating from EdReports. But this rating was the result of much more than just meeting the standards. BSCS Biology supports the shifts called for by the NGSS using our new anchored inquiry learning instructional model, an evolution of the BSCS 5E instructional model. Each unit is anchored in a phenomena or problem connected to a societal challenge that we face today. Our focus on equitable instruction gave particular attention to literacy, ensuring the program is accessible to below grade level readers and helps build all students' capacity for reading, writing, and speaking in science. The 3D assessment system supports students and teachers knowing if they've attained the performance expectations. So I'd like to take a moment just to expand on each of these key features. Anchored inquiry learning is a research-based instructional model that still leverages many aspects of the 5E model. It also shares characteristics with other problem-based learning, PBL, and storyline instructional models. You'll hear us sometimes call this AIL, or Anchored Inquiry for short. As this list of features suggests, Anchored Inquiry pedagogy is highly student-centered. Creating a student-centered classroom requires a significant shift in practices and often in beliefs from a more traditional teacher-centered classroom. This is a visual representation of the model. On one end, learning is anchored by a robust phenomena or problem that motivates students to learn. Students engage in productive learning activities through the loops, which each represent an inquiry cycle, as they investigate aspects of the anchoring phenomena. Throughout, they're organizing their learning, reflecting on what they figured out, and then identifying what they still need to learn. They reinforce their learning through application that happens both within the investigate lessons and at the end of the unit through a culminating task. The content of an anchored inquiry unit is sequenced in an order that creates a coherent storyline but from a student's perspective. Students' own questions motivate them to figure out important science ideas through engaging with the practices and cross-cutting concepts. This means, though, that the sequence of science ideas in BSCS biology is quite different from that of a traditional textbook. So what does that mean for a teacher who is piloting or implementing BSCS biology for the first time? Meet Amber Frank. Amber is a high school biology teacher in Arkansas. She is truly a great teacher. She's attended lots of professional learning in the past and is deeply committed to improving her own practice and her students' understanding of biology. Amber was piloting BSCS biology on her own for several months. Then she had the opportunity to attend a 2-day teacher institute. We'll follow Amber's experience throughout this webinar, but here are her first impressions of BSCS biology.
You know, if you think about a traditional biology classroom, you think of notes and experiments and models that you see in textbooks, like the mitosis models and the chromosome pop beads and plants and jars. And it's so technical, textbooky, you know? And I was surprised that this was not that.
So one of the reasons it's not that is because Understanding for Life uses anchoring phenomena and problems that are connected to a significant societal challenge that impacts students' lives, as well as those of their families and communities. The goal is for students to build habits of mind for using science in the context of the societal challenge and feel a sense of agency to use their understanding of biology to better their own lives and the lives of their families and communities. So what did Amber think about the role of societal challenges as anchors to motivate all students' learning?
This took a concept, a real life concept that everybody can understand in the classroom. Everybody's gotten an infection at once in their life. They've had to have antibiotics. Everybody's never, not finished the antibiotic treatment. Well, what repercussions does that have? It takes these major ideas of learning biology, natural selection, heredity, how bacteria grows, how living things grow, how antibiotic resistance occurs, and puts it in a way that makes learning meaningful for students.
Even beyond the use of societal challenges to provide equitable entry points for all students, BSCS biology is designed from the ground up to support equitable access. It provides guidance to teachers for how to value students' questions, their prior knowledge in developing ideas, student experiences, ways of knowing, and their ways of participating. There are embedded tools and protocols to support literacy skills for all students, but especially those who may be reading below grade level or are emergent multilingual learners. This slide shows an example tool that's used across the course to help students make productive reading annotations as they interact with and interpret scientific texts. But how will we know if students own the important science ideas and can proficiently engage in the practices and cross-cutting concepts? How will students know if they're making progress? The 3D assessment system is composed of a variety of assessments at multiple levels. The summative transfer tasks provide opportunities for students to apply their learning in new settings and demonstrate their understanding in different modalities. BSCS biology is designed to meet the vision of the framework in the NGSS, but it also has a much greater purpose: to prepare high school students for life in a complex, interconnected world. That means the curriculum itself is also complex and interconnected. Both the curriculum and the professional learning were designed to support teachers in understanding the many layers of anchored inquiry, 3D teaching and learning, and the fading scaffolds for sense-making and literacy. That's a lot to take in all on your own. That's why high-quality professional learning matters too. Remember that Amber had been piloting BSCS Biology ever before attending professional learning. Her regional education cooperative science specialist had also examined the curriculum prior to attending a professional learning institute. So how did attending professional learning impact their understanding of the curriculum?
I was sold in the first hour. 100% sold. My co-op specialist sold. He said something to me like, I have never been 100% on board with the curriculum, but my gosh, this is so good.
So BSCS Biology is a unique and powerful curriculum that helps teachers and students attain the vision of the framework in the NGSS. To reach the curriculum's full potential, we need to provide teachers and leaders professional learning that's just as robust and transformative as the curriculum itself. It takes more than just reading about BSCS biology to maximize its impact. It takes more than just knowing about the sense-making and literacy strategies to create a student-centered classroom. It takes experiencing the curriculum to fully appreciate its intention, its layers and nuances, and pilot or implement it successfully. So what did Amber think when she first opened the box of BSCS biology resources?
This curriculum is not a traditional biology curriculum. I looked at the student book and I'm like, what is this? This is not a biology textbook. First of all, it's like this skinny. And if you've ever seen a biology book, they're like this, right? There's so much information in them. And I started looking through it and I'm like, wait a minute. Where's all the words? And that's when I realized what this curriculum is founded in. It's founded in those SEPs and CCCs, and it really pushes those students to question, and while they're questioning, they're learning the DCIs.
So when adopting the new program, teachers need more than an orientation to what's in the box and where can I find the different resources. Often, teachers have never experienced themselves the kind of teaching and learning called for by the framework in the NGSS, the very kind of teaching and learning they're expected to provide their students. It's challenging to teach a new curriculum with a new pedagogical approach, often along with multiple other preps. When crunched for time, we revert back to the traditional pedagogy we know and the resources we're comfortable with. So how do we support teachers and leaders in successful piloting and implementation? BSCS Biology Professional Learning is a curriculum-based professional learning experience that leverages the three core design elements: high-quality instructional materials, transformative learning experiences for teachers, and supports for classroom equity. Our professional learning programs leverage the science immersion model for professional learning, or SIMPLE. Focused on the curriculum, SIMPLE PL is rooted in ongoing active experiences that challenge teachers to reflect on their instructional practices, expand their content knowledge, and challenge their beliefs about effective science teaching and learning. I want to take a second to share an administrator's experience with BSCS Biology Professional Learning in his district over the past 2 years. The instructional materials, along with professional learning, act as both a lever and a guide, helping link teachers' actions and ideas to 3D teaching and learning in a concrete and focused way, closing the gap between the professional learning experiences provided to teachers and the experiences we want them to provide for their students. Amber already knew about the importance of three-dimensional teaching and learning. She'd had professional learning on many of the sense-making and literacy strategies. So what did the BSCS Biology Professional Learning do for her?
This BSCS workshop I remember sitting there and thinking, oh my gosh, I've learned this technique already. I had the driving question board. I've had annotating articles. We've had instruction on how to do plan and carry out an experiment. But it's like it's all came together in one nice little present with a bow on top in a curriculum. Because for years and years, I was trying to develop 3D curriculum on my own because there was nothing out there for biology, or nothing that our state thought was high quality.
So what does high quality professional learning that supports high quality curriculum look like? Let's take a closer look at the BSCS Biology professional learning programs. I'll start with an overview of all our programs. We can come to your school or district in person or virtually to lead a 2, a 5, or a 7-day institute. We can also customize an institute to meet your unique needs. Small and rural schools may not have enough teachers to justify us coming to their site. So individuals and small groups of teachers can come to us for tuition-based professional learning institutes. The design of both school-based and tuition-based institutes is the same. To help school and district leaders support their teachers in effective and sustained implementation of BSCS Biology after the conclusion of a teacher institute, we offer professional learning for leaders and district leaders. This program is offered concurrently with the Teacher Institute and will prepare leaders as they lead professional learning communities, coach teachers, and onboard new teachers in their districts. We also offer a Facilitator Institute to prepare and certify teacher leaders and others to lead BSCS Biology professional learning for teachers across the country. So now, let's take a closer look at each of these 4 programs. We'll look first at our school and district teacher institutes. The 2-day institute provides an introduction to the most central aspects of BSCS Biology using Unit 1 as our focus. You might consider it a quick start guide to the curriculum. Over the course of the 2 days, ideally experienced consecutively, we develop an understanding of anchored inquiry learning and its role in creating a student-centered classroom. Using the simple model, we experience the anchor lesson as adult science learners, as well as key sense-making and literacy strategies. We develop a common vision of Unit 1 to understand what coherence looks like from students' perspectives and begin to consider how to use the curriculum resources to plan for effective science teaching and learning. These are the 2 days that Amber has experienced so far. The 5-day institute builds on the 2-day by providing additional professional learning throughout the school year. Ideally, we experience the first 2 days centered on Unit 1 before the start of the school year. Before starting Unit 2, we gather again for a day of professional learning where we experience the Unit 2 anchor and explore the unit's societal challenge and storyline. We unpack the routines and purposes of the investigate lesson type and consider how to continue to build a safe and respectful classroom culture that welcomes the ideas of all learners. Later in the year, before the start of Unit 3, our professional learning day focuses on the Unit 3 anchor and storyline. We dig into the engineering design process and how to support students in designing solutions to problems. We consider the role of 3D assessment in effective planning, teaching, and learning. The final time we gather together, we prepare for Unit 4, again experiencing the unit's anchor and storyline. We'll deepen our understanding of anchored inquiry by exploring the synthesis, gap analysis, and culminating task lesson types and take stock of all we've learned together. Amber will experience days 3 through 5 of the 5-day institute later this summer. The 7-day institute builds on the 5-day by adding an additional day when we prepare for Unit 2. We dig into the shifts in genetics education and explore the similarities and differences of the 2 practices of explanation and argumentation. An additional day when we prepare for Unit 3 helps us deepen our abilities to support students with the practices and cross-cutting concepts of system and system models, as well as plan more deeply for 3D assessment. The final day of the Institute helps us prepare to teach Unit 4 as described in the 5-day Institute. I'll mark that each day of the Institute includes immersive experiences, where we experience lessons and activities as learners and debrief as educators. So how did the immersive experiences help Amber understand the curriculum in the 2-day Institute?
I found the professional learning incredibly useful and incredibly perceptive, because it allowed me to look at it from a student's point of view. I think that was one thing that was absolutely necessary in the way this professional learning went, was that we were put in the position of a student. I think that was one of the most powerful things to do, because you could see where, a student might have a question or a student might have a problem with this, and then you could address that as a teacher.
But not every school or district has enough teachers to justify us coming to them. So we offer tuition-based institutes. Instead of coming to you, you can send individuals or small groups of teachers to a tuition-based institute. The content of these institutes is the same as the district-based institutes. We anticipate that these tuition-based institutes will be virtual to accommodate teachers from across the country, but we can offer in-person institutes if there are enough participants within a geographic area. We're excited to be offering 2 2-day institutes this summer, one in June and one in July. We'll open registration soon, and everyone in this webinar will get an invitation to register, along with more specifics about the institutes. To help school and district leaders in supporting their own teachers in effective and sustained implementation of BSCS Biology after the conclusion of the Teacher Institute, we offer leadership professional learning for school and district leaders. This program will prepare leaders as they lead professional learning communities in their own site, coach teachers, and onboard new teachers in their own school or district. This program is offered concurrently with the Teacher Institute. So, for example, leaders would attend the 2-day Teacher Institute as learners with an additional day of professional learning immediately after. They also receive additional professional learning after days 3, 4, and 5 of the 5-day Institute. In addition to deepening understanding of the anchored inquiry learning instructional model and the program resources, these additional days of leadership learning will help leaders deepen their understanding of curriculum-based professional learning, systems of support for effective science teaching and learning, and change management. As more districts adopt BSCS Biology, our need for facilitators who can lead teacher institutes will undoubtedly grow. The Facilitator Institute will prepare teacher leaders and others to lead BSCS Biology professional learning for teachers across the country, and consists of an in-person institute and virtual follow-up sessions. Participants who successfully complete the program are eligible to be certified as BSCS Biology professional learning facilitators and gain access to our proprietary facilitation guides, slides, and additional resources for BSCS Biology professional learning. So we've explored the BSCS Biology professional learning programs to support successful piloting and implementation of the curriculum. Let's check in on Amber to see how she's feeling about implementing BSCS Biology in her own classroom after completing the 2-day Institute.
Am I a little worried about implementing a curriculum brand new? Of course. But I think knowing what I know already, knowing what I've learned in my co-ops and at this professional learning, is going to really make this a knockout curriculum.
I can't wait to see Amber's continued growth and continue to increase your confidence after another 3 days of professional learning this summer. I'm excited about BSCS Biology professional learning, and I hope you are too. To learn more, I encourage you to visit our webpage for more information about our professional learning programs. I'm also happy to meet with you to discuss any of the programs in more detail.